All right, welcome. My name is Jay O'Brien, and I am your instructor for digital photography this semester. I wanted to do a quick welcome video and try to get you guys kind of oriented to how I run things and give you a face to the name and hopefully just get you guys comfortable with what we're going to be doing this semester. I apologize for the lighting. I should have done this someplace else. Anyway, well, you're going to mostly be looking at my screen anyway. So I wanted to first just start with introduction, help you guys understand who I am and how I'm going to communicate. I'm going to go over some of the parts of the syllabus with you and talk about how I lay things out in D2L and kind of give you hopefully a better idea of what this class is. Books, software, camera expectations, that kind of thing. So let me go ahead and switch over to doing a screen share here. Okay, oh, that's fun. And then zip over to D2L. Introductions, that's actually one of the first things we're going to do in this class. You actually have a introductions discussion here. And just so you guys have a better idea who I am, my name's Jay O'Brien. I'm your instructor for the class. I am an adjunct instructor at LCCC. I went to school at LCCC. In fact, I took digital photography from David Larson about 20 years ago now on LCCC's campus. I actually work in public relations now for the Wyoming Department of Transportation. I love teaching this class. I think it's a lot of fun. I have quite a bit of experience. I've been teaching actually for 13 years now. I've got about 25 years of photography experience. I've been using Photoshop for about 20 years, and I've been teaching online for probably 6 or 7 years now. So I know some of you, you're pretty comfortable with taking online courses. If you're not, I'll talk to you about hopefully how you can be more successful. I try to recreate the classroom experience as much as I possibly can in the online space. I myself have taken a lot of courses online. I got my master's degree completely online, so I'm pretty reasonable when it comes to how things work for an online environment. The big thing is you've got to be responsible for yourself, and I'll continue to talk about that as we go through the syllabus and some of this other information. So as far as how the course is laid out, let me go back to the front screen. And I know that as an instructor, it looks a little different for me than it looks for you. But when you enter the course, essentially everything, you're going to get some information here. I will every once in a while use news items. You'll be able to see what discussion posts you need to read over here. But pretty much everything in this class you should be accessing through the content tab. In fact, there are other ways, like if you look at the calendar, it could possibly even kind of, or if you look, not necessarily the calendar actually should be pretty good. I think I have the date set up. Where I run into trouble sometimes is students will look at things like the discussions. And if the discussions, see how it's kind of out of order here, and I probably should clean some of that up. Anyway, so in some places in D2L, things can kind of get squirrely just based on the order in which I created things. If you access the course content through the content tab, this is going to be the cleanest way for you to look at this class. Over here on the left, you see all of the weeks and the dates laid out. And then as you click on those tabs, those on the table of contents there, it brings up basically, this is my lesson plan, what we're doing for that week. And it coincides with what's in the syllabus. I'll actually put this video up here at the top. I'm going to email the video to you as well as put it up there. Please do watch all of the videos in entirety. I say that, and I know you guys don't actually always watch them, but the reality here is that I know that as much as this takes time, and you guys are busy, if you don't consume all of this content, you're going to end up missing things. And I have students, they email me, they ask questions, and I'm almost confused as to why they're asking the particular question, because I know that information is in the course content, and so maybe I don't even give the complete answer because I'm assuming that you're reading this content and you're watching the videos. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you are reading all of this. So for each given week, it'll say, week 1 course plan, and tell you what, sometimes it'll have a little less information depending on what we're working on, but I'll do like a little welcome message, what we're reading, what you should be watching. In addition to the welcome video, I have a lecture video, and then a little introduction to the Photoshop workspace. I detail what the discussion is, and then what assignments you should be working on. And for this week, I want you to start working on assignments that aren't due until week 2. Now, this is where, I want to first start talking about the importance of staying on top of things and keeping yourself organized for an online class. Don't fall into a false sense of security because you look at this and you say, begin exercises 1, the Dropbox is in week 2, it's actually due at the end of the week 2. You need to start those assignments right away. The way I do things is I group assignments, and if we look at the syllabus here, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the syllabus, which is right here in the week 1 content. And let me come down to here to where the assignments are, and then I'll jump back to the top. You can see here, this is exercises 1. So there's actually several things that you need to do as part of exercises 1. So instead of creating, 25, 30 different sets of drop boxes for all of these assignments, what I do is I group everything into sets of exercises for you to work through at your pace, to give you time, and you have, a couple of weeks at least at a time to complete these assignments. But if you wait until the very end, you're going to find yourself in a bit of a pickle. It's going to be difficult. Some of these things take a little bit of time. They can be difficult, particularly if you're new to using software of this kind, digital image editing software or Adobe products. So it's really important that you give yourself time. You need to make sure that with an online class, you can't check in on the last day and expect that you're going to be able to complete everything. You should be checking in on the first day of every week just to make sure that you understand everything that you need to do. You're making a list of things to do, making sure that you read, get started on assignments in a timely manner. If you wait until the last minute, you're going to put yourself in a corner. It's going to be, you're going to make the class harder and a lot less fun. And I think it's actually a really fun class if you plan well. So let's go back here to the top of the syllabus. I'm not going to read all the syllabus to you. I do expect that you are going to read the syllabus. In fact, there may be quiz questions that will include portions of the syllabus. The course description, just so you understand what this is, the class is called Digital Photography. There is a little bit of digital shooting, but it's actually going to be quite a bit of professional practices for what we do with digital image editing software. What's being done in the industry? In fact, a lot of what you're going to find in this class is actually based on my visits with industry professionals in the region and what those industries are actually expecting of their employees. So there's going to be a lot of information that is going to help you in hopefully getting that first job, making some money. So it's a professional. I have professional standards for this class. Let's talk just about the basic information here. I am an adjunct instructor. I will be on campus from time to time, but for most of my online students, the communication is going to be either through email, which I try to stay on top of, and also if you need to meet with me kind of face-to-face, so to speak, I'm going to do things like Google Hangouts. I can meet with you, we can screen share, you can see what's going on my screen, and vice versa, so we can get some help for you. Weeks run from Saturday to Friday, so assignments are always going to be due on Fridays, late on Fridays. The reason why I do it that way is because I know a lot of people want things due on Monday, but the problem is if it's due on Monday, then you're working on Saturday and Sunday, and you may not be able to get in contact with me if you need help with something. So I run things to end on Friday so that you would have a better chance, more reasonable expectation of getting in touch with me. Some information on the textbook there. It's the Revealed series, which we use for most of the mass media multimedia classes. So if you've taken InDesign or Illustrator, these books should be familiar to you. It should be a little bit easier for you. A word on the software in the books. One of the challenges that we have now with the way Adobe is maintaining its software, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Adobe has gone from releasing large packages of software to now it is a subscription-based software, and they're making updates really quickly. The challenge for us is that we are now running into the publisher is not keeping up the book as fast as Adobe is updating the software. So there are going to be things in the book that we are going to run into that look different, function differently, and some features that just aren't going to be there at all. For instance, this is why it's important that you guys always watch these videos in entirety and take notes. In the first couple of chapters, you're going to run into something called Mini Bridge. It's in the textbook. However, Adobe has removed it from the software. So in these videos, I will try to, as much as possible, as I know that these things have happened, let you know that there are portions that you're going to skip. So in the first couple of chapters, I want you to skip any references to Mini Bridge because it's not actually in the latest version of the software. In fact, I don't think it's in the last couple of versions of the software. You're going to skip references to version Q. That's for a completely different reason. If you run into something that's you're having trouble with, this is actually important for a couple of reasons. One, it may be that whatever you're having trouble with is actually because that isn't actually in the software anymore. And then two, the reason why I want to make sure that you communicate with me when you're having trouble is because the reality here is that the textbook it's not intended to be incredibly difficult to follow. So chances are, if you're struggling with something, it's most likely because you're missing a little step, something simple or silly. And so if you start to struggle with something and it's taking you a half hour, 45 minutes to do some simple little task, chances are you're doing something silly wrong. So there's two things you can do. One, make sure that you read the instructions and make sure you're following it very, very closely. Because if you miss one little step, something's not going to work right. And then the next thing is, just contact me and let me know. Tell me what you're having trouble with. I can do a little demo video or tell you where the pitfalls are. I try to let people know where the pitfalls are. In addition to the textbook, you are going to need to have access to Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud and a digital camera that's going to give you some reasonable functionality. What that means, reasonable functionality, I'm looking for, hopefully it's great if you have manual shutter priority or aperture priority on your camera, but if you don't have that, there's actually some other things, some scene modes that we can work with. If you're not sure if you have access to a camera that meets the requirements, email me. I want you to email me and let me know what kind. In fact, that's one of the first assignments is discussing what camera you plan to use. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on a camera if you can borrow them from a friend, from your parents, whatever, what have you. But make sure that you have access to some kind of digital camera because there are a few shooting assignments in this class. We're trying to get you comfortable with how digital cameras work, the technology behind digital cameras, and then what to do with the digital images once you have created those images. There's a lot of institutional competencies. I'm not going to read that to you here. Portfolio requirements, please do read that, especially if you're in the major. Course competencies, which basically address the skills that we're looking here. So this is actually a good roadmap for what this class is going to be. And you can see here a lot of editing. So retouching techniques, color correction techniques, restoration techniques, evaluating compositional guidelines, creating composite photographs, which is one of the most fun things we can do in Photoshop. And then we're also going to talk about legal and ethical issues when we talk about digital imaging. The multimedia lab on campus is available to you. I've put a schedule in the course content so you know when that's available to you. Grading. Grading, I try to keep really simple, 1,000-point scale. It should be pretty easy for you to keep up on where you are in the class. If you have any questions, of course, let me know. And then I have it laid out exactly how all the points are going to be awarded, and I stick to this pretty good. Now, pretty closely, I should say. I am doing something different this semester that I've not done before. This is the first time I've taught this class in a 14-week semester, so you guys are my guinea pigs. So the reason why I bring that up is because I want you to know I've moved some things around to, in comparison to how I've traditionally done them, and there may be in the course content some flub-ups. If you see something that doesn't make sense, contact me, communicate with me. That's the big thing here with an online course. You have to communicate. We are still, somewhat synchronous. It's not a correspondence course. You do at your own pace. There are deadlines. And you do have access to me, but you've got to communicate with me. So please do let me know. Again, communication is key. Attendance is required. I do keep track of things in D2L. I can see if you're not reading the discussion posts. I do grade discussion posts. There's actually a policy on discussions that you need to read in this first week here as well. This is a lot of standard stuff. Please do read through. This section is kind of custom for my classes, but I have. I just want to point out here, the big point here is you've got to be an active learner, especially with it being an online course. You have to be responsible for your education. I can't force feed this to you. If you don't cooperate and create a partnership with me and participate, you're not going to get as much from the class. It's not going to be a lot of fun. So please, read this, understand, what my policies are. There's important things about my expectations as far as copyright in here. We are going to discuss copyright, so you should understand that as well. Additional resources, you can connect with me on social media. You can see what kind of things, obviously, I'm going to be posting to YouTube. I have a lot of examples for what I'm looking for as far as levels of photography on Pinterest. It's a photography class. My expectations are that you're going to push yourself to create more and better photography than you have in the past. So the snapshot aesthetic is not going to be acceptable, and we'll talk about that as we go through assignments. There's a passage I want you to read about how I grade photography assignments. More standard content here, and then the tentative class schedule. And like I said, first time I've done this in 14 weeks, but I expect that I will be able to stick with this pretty closely. If there are changes, of course, I'll let you know as soon as possible. I try to be reasonable. If there's, if I have to change something and I change it and it's very close to any sort of deadline, I will extend deadlines. I'm a reasonable guy. I think the big thing that we need to remember here, and let me get back so you guys can see me because I'm almost done here. The big thing here with an online class like this is that communication is key. It's difficult for me to see that you're struggling unless you're just not turning things in. If you're not turning things in, if you're missing quizzes, I'm going to contact you. But if you're struggling with a particular assignment and you don't communicate that with me, if you don't understand something we're covering, you don't communicate that to me, I don't know that you're struggling. So communication is key. Please do email me. Connect with me one way or another. Request those online meetings. I'm happy to do that and give you time where you can actually ask questions real time and we can give some back and forth. I can share my screen with you as I just did here so you can see what I have going on in Photoshop. I can see the same thing. I can tell you where the pitfalls are. If you plan well and manage your time well and communicate, this should be a really fun class. I think I teach the fun stuff. I love teaching this. But the key is you've got to stay on top of it. That's the big thing here. If you don't stay on top of it, if you're waiting till the last second to work on projects, you're not going to get the marks you want. and it's going to be frustrating. It's not going to be as fun because I do have professional level expectations for this. My expectation is that I'm training you to potentially do this as a professional. Hopefully, if you invest the time, it's going to be a great semester. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to working with you.